Alright, so Spellmonger Legacy and Shadows Book 1, Shadowplay. I really don't have a lot to say about this book. It's a new spin-off of the Spellmonger series, and like the last spin-off series, it works perfectly well if you've never actually read it. And if you are trying to get some people into the series, you might suggest this book as well, because upon looking back on it, I think the first Spellmonger book can be a little rough. So get them in the spin-off, get them in love in the world in the spin-off series, and then go to the mainline series, which gets steadily better and better over time. Yeah, having said that, I don't really have that much to say about this series other than, yeah, it's a good spin-off. It feels like it's the center of its own universe in a way that I feel is difficult to quantify. A lot of spin-off series tend to have a problem where they feel like they rely too much on continuity to the previous series. And this doesn't feel like that. This really does feel like if Terry had just built this world for this story, I would have believed it. So it has references to the other series, but not big ones. About the only thing you need to know is the Duke and Duchess are dead, and there's an important guy named the Spellmonger in a distant land. That's about the connectiveness it has to the mainline series. It's about the political turmoil that comes up from the sovereign of the land dying, and a power-hungry count that seizes power because all counts are evil.
Hey, is the count a vampire?
What's that?
Well, he's got those big fangs. Have they ever shown him doing somebody in and then feeding on him?
You're asking if they've ever done a Sesame Street in which the Count kills somebody and then sucks their blood for sustenance?
Yeah.
No, they've never done that.
Well, except for him, I guess. But our protagonist in this is Katina, who you might remember as the girl who basically hit Rondell over the head with a club and dragged her back to her cave, if you catch my drift. And this is about her backstory and her training. Presumably the entire series is going to be leading up to her entire training arc and everything like that, and presumably at some point it'll intersect with Tyndall and Rondell's story at the end or at some midpoint. I can't be certain, because this first book is really just about like the first arc of her training, which is mostly just about learning to adopt an alias and differing perceptions of people. It's got like that very psychological how do you go unnoticed kind of thing, which, okay, random story here, but when I was in high school and we would play dodgeball and my team was getting creamed, one of the things I always liked to do is there was always a rule where you could walk up to like a certain point in the dodgeball court. Yeah, I'd just walk behind the other team and wait for everybody to get out except for me. And then my team never actually lost.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
So, yeah, that's kind of how I've always been. And that theme is common in this book. It's not about being unseen, it's about being invisible. Be the type of person who can stand in the back and nobody notices, and that gives a thief an incredible advantage. It's like that common, if you walk anywhere with a ladder, nobody is going to stop you, and you can get in anywhere. As such, this book really reminds me of a lot of the Shalon parts in the book series, the Stormlight Archive. So if you've ever read the Stormlight Archive, and you really want something along those same lines, infiltrating different places with her light weaving stuff, this is a good book in that has like a similar feel to it. I would say I actually like this a little bit better. I've always found Shalon's parts in the Stormlight Archive to be a bit slow. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say about this series. It plays with its themes rather well. The characters are all very distinctive, and it doesn't feel like it's just a spin-off that relies too heavily on the mainline series. If I had one criticism, it's that it felt a bit slow at times, and a bit quick at times. So there was a little bit of the pacing needs to be evened out a bit. But I couldn't even begin to tell you specifically what I mean by that.